We're flowing.
We're alpha flowing.
I realized no one's gonna, unless people are watching, they wouldn't have seen my dramatic head turn.
Dun dun dun.
Something like that.
Something like that.
How we doing? Well, I know how you're doing. We just had a catch up, but the listeners don't know how you're doing.
Doing awesome. Feeling a big sense of relief from a lot of stuff that's been going on.
Same. I feel like we're both in a good place right now of like clarity.
Yeah.
Right?
You know, it's interesting because this can roll into our topic today, but when you first start to get clarity, it's not like easy street, right? The clarity comes in and normally it shakes you up like, oh shit. Like now I'm clear and crap. There's a whole bunch of stuff around me that shouldn't be around me right now.
Yep.
So like that clarity is that reality check. It's not like the skies part, and everything gets easy and you're clear and you know exactly, you know how you want to move forward. But the challenge is you got to look at what's stopping you from moving forward in that clear direction. And then you've got to either undo, separate, disconnect, have some fierce conversations, have some uncomfortable conversations, get a little scary, get out the comfort zone. And then once you're through it, then it's like, oh my God, just waking up in the morning and knowing that you managed it, you dealt with it, and you're on the clear path is pretty awesome.
It really is. And it really speaks to just being brave and going headfirst into the storm, right?
Yep.
And I've experienced that so many times in the last 7-8 years of like these pivotal moments I was dreading. And then you come out the other side like, that really wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
It's like once you're actually in it, the adrenaline's going and you just handle what you got to handle. And see so many people living in fear. And it's, I think it's one of the main drivers of why we do this, because I think you and I are both very experienced with getting through these adverse kind of times and not letting fear cripple us.
Yeah.
I would just love anybody who is scared of doing something just to feel empowered to just fucking do it.
Just do it. And keep people around you. I remember so distinctly one of the things when I was going through my divorce, I moved out, right? I move out. My son is still at the house. It's all these like, what are people going to think of me as a mother? But I did that for my son because what was happening in the household was not what I wanted him to be witnessing. And I remember it was like, I don't know, probably almost 1:00 in the morning. I took my dog Gigi out for a walk in the little, really nice area. You know where I was renting. And I was just walking down this lit path and I just thought to myself, like, what the hell have you done? Like, what have you done? Because it was scary and it was just so much. And then this thought that went in. And then I was like, as scary as this is, as much as this sucks, the thought of being in the same place, still married, still in the household, still so unhappy a year from then was way scarier, was way worse. So it's like, all right, this is temporary and I've just got to get through this. But it doesn't mean that you don't second guess yourself at all. It doesn't mean that any of it's easy, but it is a heck of a lot easier when you can have those reality checks and have really good people around you. And that came out for me in the most recent shift that's happened between you and Ben and Fred. Like all of you had different, right? You were more middle ground. Ben was like one extreme. Fred was another extreme. But honestly, don't think I would have I'm always going to come to my own conclusion, but I don't think I would have gotten there as quickly and as clearly without consideration of all the different viewpoints. And my girlfriend, Jamie, who was a little more with Fred. I needed all of that. And I needed all the different perspective. And especially where like Ben is like really opposite with me. He's very slow. He's very typically very methodical and strategic. which almost pissed me off. Like, why are you not supporting me? Why are you not more angry? Um, but it was all part of this process, and just really made me even more value having people around us that have similar values, but think differently. That's
Yeah.
like, that's worth $1 million, those conversations.
Oh yeah. And unfortunately, I think people are very stuck in the not wanting to hear anything that goes against their kind of worldview. And it's
Mm-hmm.
very common with politics now, the way it divides you.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't make decisions unless I've heard two sides of something. Like, and I know who I am. Back to your point of having the right people around you. I know who to go to in my circle. If it's like, I know the advice you're going to give me, right? So I'm going to go to someone who's got the opposite view.
Yeah.
And unless you're in the middle ground, which occasionally you are,
Very
but
rarely.
but you need those voices, because even when, like, even if you don't agree with that one take or one opinion your friend has or family
Hmm.
member, it gives you it strengthens your position and how you feel about it at the very least.
Yeah.
And at least you know you've considered how it might seem from a different angle. And I think, yeah, like I said, so many people struggle with that, that they don't want to hear uncomfortable truths, and a
Hmm.
lot of it comes down to them not being accountable. Then they
Hmm.
don't want to own and say, oh, I was wrong about that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know.
Radical ownership.
Yeah.
All right. So today we're talking about like the journey from suffering to struggle, from struggle back into suffering, from suffering to thriving. Um, and I
Before we
can't
jump there,
talk.
though,
Yeah.
before we jump there, let's, because we're about. I said this. I said the wrong number on the last episode. I realized when I was editing, and I can't remember what the fucking number is now. We're on episode 30 something at this
Okay.
point, and it's obvious that we've had, because I can see all the analytics of where people are finding us and things like that. So I know that there's a lot of people that weren't listening in the beginning, and
Hmm.
a lot of people listening in the beginning don't still listen. So if they jump back in now, it's a good refresher. Is like, what is alpha flow?
Yeah.
Because it's the name of the show. We don't really talk about it all that much because it was really just supposed to be an umbrella for everything else we talk about.
Yep.
So it's probably a good place to start before we go into the conversations. Like, a nice refresher on what alpha flow means, because I think our definition's been refined a little bit because
Yeah.
of the project we're working on.
And I think we're still refining it too. I mean, I could talk
Yeah,
about, well, why don't I talk about the origin of it? And then I want to hear, kind of as it started to expand when you and I were like, oh yeah, let's collaborate on this deeper.
yeah,
The I was God, another thing that you and I, or I'm just going to do it, but I still want us to do it, is the transcendental meditation. And that's where this concept came in when I was in a group conversation around transcendental meditation and the different brain waves that we have. And I learned about the alpha 1 brainwave. And typically when we think about alpha, we think about a leader, we think about power, someone that's maybe even overpowering. But what was super cool is the alpha 1 brainwave is this relaxed alertness. And instantly, like the lioness comes to my mind. And so it's this state of mind where you're poised, where you're aware, but you're not just jumping at every possibility and every little thing that just walks by. You're
yeah,
really poised to make a decision and be strategic, tactical, thoughtful, purposeful about what is getting your time, energy, and attention. So to be able to be in that state, in that flow, is just one of the most powerful places to create from, to make decisions from, to have conversations from. So that's the alpha 1 brainwave, which then turned into alpha flow and has brought us to all these cool projects that you and I are working on together and separately.
yeah, yeah. Alpha is definitely the main driver there for sure.
Mhm.
And I always kind of, and this I don't know if that's the reason you originally chose the lioness as your as part of your logo, and
Yeah.
if people, I made it quite subtle with the design of the Alpha Flow logo, but there's a lion and a lioness on the logo, and I think that's a really good representation of what exactly Alpha Flow is. Because if you think about lions in the wild, they're not constantly pouncing on everything. They're not sprinting around all the time. They're preparing themselves to do that at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's very similar to us in life where you can't be go, go, go all the time. You've got to be ready to perform at any given moment. But if you don't do the work to get there, you're not going to be able to perform at your best. And too many people focus on the performance part instead of the getting ready to perform.
Yeah.
Um, and
If you're chasing.
and it's funny you mentioned meditation, because that actually is what kind of really resonated with me with the idea of this Alpha Flow. Was I don't make decisions while I'm meditating, but when I have a really good meditation session, I do it every morning. Some mornings are good, some mornings are, you kind of 10 minutes go by and like, oh, that was a crap one. But it's what happens later in the day. The decision just comes to me like that out of
Boom.
nowhere. And that's because I put my brain in a state of clearing out the junk, being still, letting it figure out what it needs to figure out. And then I was ready.
I love that you just said that, because it's probably true for all meditation, but transcendental meditation, it's not about what comes to you during meditation. It is 1,000,000% about what happens after the meditation.
Yeah,
So I think people feel like they've got to jam all these thoughts and decisions into their meditating time, when really the meditation time is about relaxing, releasing, letting go, which we're going to talk about in the next episode. And it's about what comes to you after that. So powerful. Um, I like that we recapped it, and yeah, being in alpha flow and flow states,
yeah. So let's jump
being
into
able to
the
get back there, being able to get back there when you realize you're not in it, because it's not like you're going to stay in it 24/7. And
yeah,
that's also a good conversation around nervous system fitness. Having a regulated nervous system doesn't mean that you never have a meltdown, that you never get angry, that you never cry, that you never, it's just about being able to recognize it as quickly as possible and then reset with the tools that you have.
exactly. Yeah. So let's jump into the suffering and struggle, because we've already gone over the allotted time that we had for the
Oh,
opening. Was
allotted
supposed to be
time,
2 or 3 minutes,
allotted
and it's
time.
12 minutes now.
Oh, God. All right. Well, for those of you who are listening, I'm about to hold up Larry. And if you don't know who Larry is my little lobster that lives on my microphone. If you're watching,
Another
you can
former guest of the show,
a former guest. He's actually always
a friend
present.
of the show, we'll say.
So the reason why I keep Larry around is to really give a story around struggle. And when we're coaching clients, how we can start shifting that mindset from struggle being a negative to struggle being a gift. And a way that kind of embodies that is the story of lobsters and how lobsters naturally grow in the wild. So a lot of people are used to seeing lobsters in a tank or lobsters on their plate. They look a lot different at that point than they would look in the wild. And in the wild, they continue to grow, but they have a hard exoskeleton with a soft body inside of it. So what happens is the lobster is growing, their soft body is growing inside a hard, fixed, protective shell. So the pressure starts to build up, and Mother Nature lets it know, like, hey, this pressure is a sign that it's time to grow. But in order to grow, the lobster has to do something that's very scary. It has to shed the shell that has been protecting it up until this point in its life. And they go and find a place, probably a dark crevice between some rocks where there's not a lot of predators. They shed that shell, their body expands, the new shell forms, and they emerge back out as a bigger lobster. So if we can very easily equate that to us as a human being, and we have seen people exploding inside their own shells because they're refusing to grow. But when we start to feel the pressure like the lobster, instead of going, oh my God, this is so hard. Why me? What am I going to do? I'm overwhelmed, blah, 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 blah. All the other stories that we tell ourselves. Instead, when we start to feel that pressure, like we're banging our head against the ceiling, it's like, oh my gosh, this is actually a sign that I am ready to grow. This is a good thing. However, it's also a scary thing because now I've got to go find a place to get vulnerable so I can let go of all the things that have kind of been protecting me up until this point, but that are no longer serving me. So I'm going to carry some things forward, but there's some things I'm going to let go of. So to me, coaching or really good friendships or even a therapist relationship, that is your place to go and find that safe space to shed that shell and emerge back out the new, bigger, better version of you. And the other choice is to not do that and then, have some type of breakdown.
Yeah.
And growth will probably be forced upon you anyway. But way better to recognize like, oh, okay, this is struggle right now. And the opposite of that is suffering, right? Like if you've ever experienced or you see other people experience that pressure is happening, but they are just not in a place to even recognize what the opportunity is, or they feel so deep, into the hole or whatever it might be. And they're really suffering. And you can see that in animals, you can see that in people. And that's where suffering really needs like acute help. So if you're out in this world and you're helping people in whatever way, shape, or form you do, recognizing when someone's really suffering and they need some just direct action help versus, yeah, they're struggling, but woo, this is their gift. And I'm going to make sure that I do not steal this from them. I do not steal this opportunity from them, but that's where I can come alongside them and help create that safe space for them to go through this growth. So suffering versus struggle via the lobster story.
Is suffering a choice?
Oh, this is probably going to get a lot of reactions, but yes, I believe suffering is a
I
choice.
think so too.
Yeah.
I think people can turn a struggle into suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is about ownership. So yes, you can really suffer with finances. You can get addicted to stuff, and we're not, minimizing or diminishing those kind of problems.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's a struggle, right? And then I think letting that take control of how you feel is where it turns into the suffering.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, when you give up accountability, when you want to make someone else accountable for it, when you give up when you give up you being in control of that, you've lost all your power. And that's where suffering really people go deep into that because they feel helpless.
yeah. And we should probably reframe it because there are some people that, whatever side of the argument are on, like people in Gaza, they're suffering. People in impoverished area, there is that type of suffering. We're not talking about that. We're talking about kind of internal suffering. That I think a lot of it just comes down to if you don't own, I'm here because of this reason. Yes, there are external circumstances, but if you don't, own that, that's where the struggle turns into the suffering, and you get into that hole, and it gets a lot harder to get out of. And that's how I got out of it, was just knowing that, all right, up until this point, you made some stupid fucking decisions, and you have to own that. And now you've got to find a way forward to improve yourself, because all of those decisions led to how you're feeling, and how you're feeling could be changed. You have the control over that. You can't change the past, but you can change now.
Absolutely. And honestly, and I don't know that I'm really that well equipped to talk about this, but even when you talk about Gaza, my brain went to thinking about, everyone that suffered in Auschwitz or in hiding, and you hear these stories where people are born into, like, they really, there was nothing that they did that really put them into that situation other than being born a certain race, a certain color. I mean, we could name a million different examples. But you hear these stories of people that are looking at, okay, what's within my control and what's not, and then making the best or the most of the current situation with the things that they can control. Um, and that's a much deeper conversation, but in even some of the darkest and most unfair, most inhumane, most just makes you ask why. Why does
Yeah.
this exist? You hear these stories of people that have taken control over what they can, and that's where gratitude comes in, right? If you can get to gratitude in some of the darkest places, you've taken the power back, and probably still suffering, but that's where it goes more to the struggle,
Right.
or this gift of, you know what, I'm in this situation, but there's a lot of people that lost their life that aren't don't even get to be in this situation. And you might have one person going, I wish I had died, and the other person is like, oh my god, how lucky am I to be living, even if it's in the strangest or what would be perceived as, terrible circumstances.
Yeah, definitely.
So luckily, hopefully, everyone listening is not in a situation like that, right? There are those extremes. So if
And
you
hey,
think
if you're
about
not,
that,
be great. Like if you're not, be grateful. And
yeah.
I'm putting together one of my programs right now, and um, of course, because it's 2025, I'm using AI to help me with some of the content and the copy and things like that.
Hmm.
And one of the journal prompts is talking about gratitude, and saying like, don't just say, I'm grateful for my wife and my children. I'm grateful for this or that, like material things. Like get real granular with it. Like I'm really grateful for this sip of coffee in the morning because right
Yes.
now no one else is up. I just have everything to myself, the whole day ahead of me. This tastes delicious. I have shelter. And then you're like, all right, what am I stressed about?
Right. I have running water that I could put through my coffee machine.
Yeah,
I have a coffee machine. I had the money to go buy the coffee. And I know you like expensive coffee. That's, certainly makes a lot of sense, free of mold, but like I love that you are
living up
highlighting
north.
being granular about it.
Yeah,
And really allow yourself to get into that feeling of gratitude, not just like, oh yeah, I'm grateful to be alive. You know,
yeah,
I I
exactly.
I, I do my walk or run past the cemetery up the road here a couple times a week, and there's beauty in the cemetery, and I like always look over. I don't want to be in there. Um, I'm like, you know what? It really is. Every day is a gift. Every day is beautiful to
Yeah.
to be above ground. And I want to pull in a little thing that happened with me a couple days ago. Um, I'm looking at my pencil here, Asbury Ocean Club. Just coming through the clarity, right? The only way out is through. Driving, I'm like, you know what? I need to get to the beach, right? I just need to get to the beach for an overnight. And you and I shot a podcast, from there. 24 hours. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you went. Like you're different. And I was just me. I just decompressed. And we went back to the beach a couple days later with the kids and Ben and a friend of Ben's. And everyone was playing in the waves. And I was sitting on the chair, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, why am I sitting here? Like, I want to be playing in those waves, but I have been so paralyzed by not wanting to really be seen in a bathing suit. Like, I'm okay to be on the lounge chair. I'm okay to like walk to and from, but to just really be carefree and playing on the beach, I've just wasted so much. So I got up and I walked my butt and I got in the water, and the waves kicked my ass, and I had sand in every place you can imagine, and probably still there after multiple showers, and laughed and had so much fun, and then went on the beach. And not only did I start a game of catch, we were playing a game of catch where you had to do a funny dance move before you threw the ball. So here I am, just in my bathing suit, looking like an idiot on the beach, having so much fun, had an amazing day. And I still would have had a good day if I had sat in that chair, but what a different experience I would have had, and what a different experience everyone around me would have had. And Ben said to me, like, I'm so happy you're joining us and like you're like doing this too. And I was so happy too. And I was really suffering. I was suffering sitting there. And then
Yep.
I just stepped into struggle, and like it was a struggle. Like the camera, like, don't you dare take a picture of me, doing a funny dance in my bathing suit. But I stepped into it, and I was so happy that I did. And it's still work I need to do. But that was just like an example of, we have this so much self-imposed suffering that
Hmm.
we've just kind of accepted, and we don't get our time back. So every single day that you are sitting in suffering
Oh yeah.
and not moving into struggle, and certainly not moving into living and thriving, it's like it's just a
And
self-imposed
I think
hell.
it really is kind of there's a gauge to it, right? Because the going between struggle and suffering is the line is so thin, just like
Mhm.
a moment like that.
Yep.
And
A
all it
moment.
took was it was a choice you made to get out of it. And it's
Yeah.
so funny you say that, because it was literally one of the main things I talked about in my therapy session last week, was just how I struggle with the same thing. Like I don't like being seen without my shirt off.
That's
And
crazy to me.
right, and I was saying, I really envy people who can just let it all hang out. And
Yeah.
like I'm not Cristiano Ronaldo, but I'm in good shape. I've got the V pack and some ab show, but like I still get self-conscious about it. And
Yeah.
like again, I'm making the choice to suffer from that and
Yeah.
not just be myself and relax. Instead, I'm like making sure that I'm, angled right on the chair so I don't
Yeah.
look like I've got anything stick. You know what I mean? But like that,
Yes.
and you saying that, I'm like, it clicked with me. I'm like, I'm choosing to suffer there,
Yeah.
and I've got to get out of that. And it's okay to struggle,
Mhm.
but living in struggle is a lot better than living in suffer.
Yeah. And it's not okay when you have the power to make a change. It's not okay. Like
Yeah.
we owe this to ourselves. We owe this to and I was saying the people around us. Even Ben's daughter, she's 9. There's been times before where she could tell I was feeling like a kind of way, and she's like, well, what are what's wrong, or what are you worried about? Well, I don't want to put my body image issues onto her, one. And two, I was like, oh, I'm a little uncomfortable in my bathing suit. And she's like, why? You look great, And it's so silly, but even the reassurance from a 9-year-old who really kind of does tell it like it is, I was like, oh, that kind of makes me feel
Yeah.
better. And I know that I'm eating well. I know that I'm active and I'm exercising. So I'm not just sitting on the couch somewhere. So all of those things played in. One. And then the second part of what I was just going to say about the people being around us, and now it went out of my brain. That's okay. It will come back. Oh, the on Instagram, I shared it on the story. There was a woman, and she's like, no one is going to stand up at your funeral and be like, she looks so good in a bikini, right? He had the best abs. No one's going to do that. They're going to get up there and they're going to say how you made them feel. They're going to talk about the times that you spent together. They're not going to get up and say, oh, Tara looks stupid on the beach in her bathing suit because she's got extra pounds on. They're going to be like, I remember the day we all went to the beach and we all played in the water together. Like, it makes me want to cry. Like, we are so hard on ourselves.
No,
And
yeah, we are, and it's everybody. And I love and something that did we talk about on here, the spotlight effect?
no.
Was that in therapy? I was talking about it. I read it. I was someone's book I was reading. They're talking about the spotlight effect, and it really applies to something like that. Like we suffer because we think everybody,
Yeah.
the whole world is looking at us at that
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
And like the reality is, no one at the beach is
They don't care.
remembers what you look like,
Yeah.
for the good or the bad.
Yep.
You know, and we just have this impression that every little wrong if our hair's out of place, or if we wear a shit outfit or whatever, or we're driving the wrong kind of car, people are gonna judge us for it. But the truth is, they're not
Yeah.
even thinking about you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm saying this in real time as someone who's about to start launch my second Instagram profile, which is my public facing one, and I'm like dreading it. But it's
No.
like, just get over yourself.
Okay,
And
how can we reframe that right now? Because you just made an identity statement. I am dreading it.
I was dreading it because I ain't dreading it no more. How about that?
What are you doing now?
Well, I'm just going to launch it when start. Probably be Thursday at this point. Yeah, but it's just you gotta stop thinking, and it's really funny if you think about it, because it's kind of like we are. I'm saying a collective we. we are worried about what everybody thinks about us,
Mhm.
meaning we're self-conscious, but we have such big egos that we think everybody's going to be thinking about us.
Right.
It's this weird paradigm,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, especially like in a launch, it's it's not about you. You're not doing this. Yes, you're doing this to fund the life and build something for your family because there's a monetary exchange there, right?
Right.
You've put it in time, energy, effort, creation, all of that. But you're not doing that just to see you launch something. Why are you doing it? Why are you launching that?
Yeah.
No, like answer, please.
Oh, you want me to answer? Because I want to, it's my mission statement, right? I want to positively impact people at scale.
Yeah.
And I'm doing that through health, through functional health.
It's like when you
And
post those ridiculous pictures of us on the thing, and Ben will be like, "That's not a very flattering picture of you." I'm like, "I know, and
it's
thank
so
God this isn't
funny.
about me."
Yeah, and I like even the stupid ones of me. Like I don't care about that. It's just
Yeah.
really weird. It's weird what we put importance and value on,
Yep.
and we all do it. We all do it around the most silly things, and it's different for everybody. But we all choose to suffer a lot of the time instead of just struggling with that. And I've had people make fun of me on TikTok, and it wasn't supposed to be funny, or there's someone said something about my eyes or whatever, and I'm like. I have more compliments about my eyes than people making fun of them, so
Yeah.
I don't care, you know.
I
But
mean, I'm
but
pretty famous for posting my legs in shots, even though I try to post a little lower now. And then one of my mom's friends was like, "Why is one leg shorter than the other one?" And I was like, "That's just such a stupid comment." And I know you're like joking around, and it doesn't really bother me, but it's funny how like some things just totally roll off our backs when we
yeah,
have confidence about it. It's like the silly pictures of you and I, the silly freeze frames. Doesn't really bother me because I know if someone clicks that they're going to get value from what they're about to hear. But if I'm not confident about something, it's like everything is heightened 20,000 times.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
So, cool thing to do to really just sit down and look at where are you suffering
Yeah,
needlessly. And it's all probably pretty needless. Doesn't mean it's not very real, but how can you move from suffering into like that struggle, which is the gift?
yeah,
And it really does it starts to me with two things. One, having that safe space. So where do you need to be? Who do you need to be around? And two, getting that reality check. And I would say do it in that order. Do not, unless you are in some very extreme circumstance where you cannot get support around you. And if that's the case, then just freaking do it because you are powerful and you are capable and you have everything you need within you. But if you can take a minute and be like, okay, who do I have around me that is a safe space for me, non judgmental space? And who do I need to get around me? And then do that. And then jump into something that you and I have and will be is part of what we are putting together, which is a life wheel. And you can go online and find a million different versions, but it's just going to really pull out categories and have you rate yourself from 0 to a 10. 0, like my life is a dumpster fire. 10, I'm at the top. Things are great. And it's going to be everything from your physical health to your mental health to your finances to your career, which by the way are two different things because you could be a 10 in your career. Maybe you're a painter and you love painting, but you're a 2 in finances because nobody likes your paintings right now and you don't make any money from them. So really getting a reality check on where things are actually right now, and then picking one or two categories and say you're at a 5 in physical health and you want to get to a 7. What is it going to take for it to be a 7? And then get in action around that. One or two. And they all impact each other, but you can't work at them all at the same time, even though just by working on one, you're going to impact the rest
yeah.
of them.
I love that exercise, and I actually have. If you go to my website, getalphahealth.com, shameless plug. There's a scroll down a little bit and take the root cause quiz because I
Yes.
created one for your health.
Yes.
And it's same principle. It's really interesting when you're talking about any whatever you apply it to. Just it can be eye opening to be like, oh, I had no idea that that's what's been stressing me out.
Mm-hmm.
I am doing well in my career, but actually I'm struggling financially, or
Yes.
I'm rich as shit, but I feel really lonely.
Yeah.
And you know, it's not really until you take stock of it and audit your life. So yeah, definitely recommend people do that exercise. Like you said, you can find a million of them online, and maybe if I have some time, I'll put one together for us so people can go and do that.
Yeah, we have it, and I'd like to volunteer it. But like, oh, we'll put it on ManyChat, but I know that may not happen. Um, let's roll back for a second. One, I want to really honor what you just said, because sometimes by doing this reality check and this inventory, we actually are doing way better than we think we're doing. And that happens often
Yeah.
with clients. So it's not just about like, oh my God, I'm so much worse than I thought. Sometimes we realize we're actually doing much better than we thought we were. One. Two, it doesn't count as a selfish plug if you let it come out of your mouth at 300,000 miles per hour and no one can understand it. So where would people go? Say it slowly and into the mic, sir, so the people in the back can hear, please.
So now I'm self-conscious about how fast I talk. So
Don't
now
be.
I'm going to suffer. GetAlphaHealth.com.
Get, GET, alpha,
Yep.
ALPHA,
Yep.
health,
Sorry,
HE,
get. It's not get. Get.
get, alphahealth.com. Okay, cool. Go there. Take the quiz. Does it cost anything to take it?
No, totally free. It
No.
cost me for
All
you to
right.
take it.
What?
It cost me for you to take it. So do it as many times as you want.
All right. Go run up Paolo's tab. Do it. Get your friends, get your family. And on that note, get your friends and get your family. Let your friends and your family know what you're doing. Let them know when you're struggling. Let them know if you're suffering. Let them know that you are actually doing pretty kick ass and you want to make sure that you're showing up for them. Like, talk to people.
And that's a good point. We should wrap up because we have to do another one of these. But
Mhm.
in terms of, I thought you were going to say this. Share the podcast with your friends and family, please. But not just sharing the podcast. I think we spend a lot of time thinking about who we need around us and making sure we got the right people. But make sure you're doing your part too. Like, when was the last time you, and I'm not saying you, I'm saying you, you as we, when was the last time you sent someone something that had an impact on you? Something you read or a podcast you listened to, a video or a reel? You know, do your part to kind of spread awareness of things people may be suffering from
Yeah.
and you have no idea, and something that helped you could help other people.
Yeah, and when you're going through your gratitudes, because I know this happens to you, I know it happens to you, and I know it happens to you if you're listening or watching this, where you get this kind of overwhelm of gratitude for someone or one of your friends or someone that you in your world, like they just come to you really strong and you have good thoughts about them, maybe something they've helped you with or just something about them. When that happens, send them a voice note immediately. Text message. You don't have to pick up the phone and call. You can, but just
Don't.
send
It's
them
fucking
something.
annoying. Don't call people. It's
Call people.
2025. Send a
Let
voice
them
note.
know. I did this to Fred the other day. I was like, you know what, buddy? I'm making my coffee and I just thought of you so strongly. I thought of you and then I thought of Dory and then I thought of Jordan, their son. And I think about you. I think about everyone quite often, but just stop in that moment, send that person. And then I got a message back from Fred later that day, like, oh man, like sis, you just like made my day. And
Yeah.
you just never know. We have to stop keeping things to ourselves. We have to be
Yeah.
sharing.
And I'm a
So,
big fan. You know, you mentioned people's funerals, and
mm,
don't wait until they're dead to share how much they mean to you. Like, give
yeah,
people their flowers now, because you'll be surprised how much of an impact it has on you. And don't do it for a selfish reason, but just it really puts you in a place of gratitude just by expressing thanks to other people.
yeah,
And then you'll start seeing this cascading effect of like, oh, I'm grateful for a ton of stuff.
yep,
I shouldn't be suffering. I should
yep,
be struggling, but I shouldn't be suffering.
yep. You and I both have Jeeps. You can't have a bad day in a Jeep because when you're driving around, all Jeep people, all the cool ones at least, wave at each
Yeah.
other. So it's like you're driving around. If you're having an off day, just get in the Jeep and drive around and wave at people. It's so silly. You don't know these people. They don't know you.
So, funny story on that. So I was driving with my former business partner, big Jeep guy. We were going somewhere, we were opening the gym, we were going somewhere, and he kept doing that as people would driving by, and I'm like, thinking to myself, like, he grew up in the area, so I'm like, man, he knows a lot of people around here. And then I saw something like a week later about the Jeep wave, and I went up to him, I was like, were you doing the Jeep wave to all those people? I thought you just knew everybody.
I love that. I love that. If Ben drives the Jeep,
you know what happens to me though?
What?
I do it when I'm not in the Jeep. If I'm driving Amy's car or something, I'm like, oh, fuck.
I do that too. I've done that too.
Well, why can't we just say hi to people?
Even
if they're not in the Jeep?
So let's start it up. Just wave at people. If Ben's ever driving the Jeep and he doesn't wave, I'm like, come on. I'm like, I can't, this Jeep can't be known as the driver that doesn't wave. Like, do not ruin my Jeep's reputation, right? So, gratitude is powerful. Love is powerful. Connection, relationships, suffering. We can end as much suffering in this world as possible. Struggle's a gift. We get to come alongside each other. We have to ask for people to help us, and we have to remind people that we are there for them. And it all brings us back to Alpha Flow. Until next time, friends. Bye for now.